The King and Queen of Zulu will arrive along the New Orleans riverfront to much fanfare tomorrow. Ahead of the big event, Sabrina Wilson sat down with King Rodney P. Mason Jr. and his wife, Queen Kristen Mason, to talk about what it's like to be Carnival royalty and what they hope boys and girls take away from their reign.
The crew of Zulu steps off early each Fat Tuesday with a style all its own.
So you have the lion in there, you have my fraternity symbol, Kappa Kappa side over the new chapter, then you have the crown. And on the back of you have
New Orleans native and St. Aug grad Rodney Paul Mason Jr. is King Zulu 2025. His wife, Kristen Bonds Mason, is his queen.
We have two lionesses at the bottom because I am Nyla to Simba.
You could say Zulu is in Rodney Mason's blood. His father, Rodney P. Mason Sr., spent 45 years as a Zulu member.
My dad called me up while I was an undergrad at A&M, said, "Son, would you like to be a Zulu member?" So I took the opportunity, became a Zulu member at a young age of 21.
And he jumped right into Zulu's activities. He served on 26 committees, been a part of the Zulu Ensemble, the Zulu Tramps, and even was Zulu mayor. Currently, he's the organization's recording secretary. Professionally, King Zulu is employed by the city of New Orleans and is part of the Capital Projects Administration.
You get it. You're the king. What's the first thought that came to your mind?
Like, wow, Daddy, we made it. At the time, my father was transitioning. He was extremely sick, and we won King Zulu in May 26, 2024. He did run for King Zulu in '87. He lost. I'm fulfilling the dream. It's a full circle moment.
His wife is thrilled to reign as Queen Zulu.
The same way he had to ask me to marry him, I made him ask me to be his queen.
A McDonough 35 grad who went on to earn a BS in biology from Southern University, Baton Rouge, and a master's degree in public health from Kaplan University, Queen Zulu is a health physicist who's worked at Louisiana DEQ and the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
As a little girl, did you ever imagine that you could one day be Queen Zulu?
No, I did not. This is an unimaginable dream for me.
And Carnival royalty includes having personalized throws.
Simba becoming King Zulu with the crown and two trumpets. I played trumpet in the marching band at St. Augustine High School March 100.
This Queen Zulu bead this year has my health physicist Adam in the middle.
They help kids along the parade route are inspired by their reign.
So one day I want to be like King Zulu 2025. I want to live out that dream.
Stick to your passions, pursue those things, and you'll naturally fall into big accomplishments like this.
That was Sabrina Wilson reporting for us. At age 39, King Rodney P. Mason Jr. says he's the youngest millennial Zulu king.